It play out me just, breaking them, mentally, physically, shit, damn near spiritually. It's just, me just breaking his will. Hopefully, I don't break his face too bad and just, come out with the victory.
Our bet is, I'm gonna be victorious and becoming welterweight champion of the world July 29th.
So tell him an extra mil.
Spence, I think that probably gives him a little bit more help and gets him more active in the ring. Just takes that ring rust away from Terence. But in my opinion, I got Terence winning that fight, outboxing Spence, make him. I think we'll see probably a very good Terence Crawford in that fight, because we'll see the best of Terence in that fight, especially with someone like Spence who takes a good shot and also gives a big shot back as well. So it'll be good because there'll be some heated exchanges in that fight. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Excellent fight. I think it's a tough fight for both guys. I've always favored Crawford in the fight, but I think it's a winnable fight for Spence as well. Spence, I would say he's probably has the best basics in boxing. Honestly, great jab, stays behind it, great fundamentals. Tremendous puncher to the body, great inside game. And he's consistent with it. Every single round he's consistent with it. So that's tough to deal with, man. You got something in your face all night. A guy that's going to be in your grill, a guy, if you even try to rest in the inside, he's going to chop you up to pieces down to the body, And so I would expect Crawford to move. Crawford, I feel, has better feet. I think that he's a better boxer, a better counterpuncher as well. I think he can use that to his advantage in the fight. He's a little bit longer than Spence as well. He has power, sneaky power, and he has for strength as well. And he's not going to stand there and let Spence hit him down to the body. He's going to move. He's going to use angles. And any mistake that Spence make, he should expect the counter. It's going to come. And Crawford being a great counterpuncher, I'm going with him. My money's on him. But I think the fight's going to be extremely entertaining. And I think whoever executes their game plan, to be honest with you, is going to win the fight.
Errol is a phenomenal fighter. The modern-day Marvin Hagler. And then you've got Spence, who is just a box of tricks with substance, with power, has everything. I genuinely have I've edged towards Bud these last few months, but in real, honest opinion, I have no idea what happens in that fight, and I'm so intrigued by it.
I think Crawford. I think the inactivity of Spence. I think the fact that he's had that tragic stuff outside of the ring. You just with the car crash, and I just don't think he's he trains really hard, and he's obviously bought this farm now, and he's putting himself out there, but you just wonder what the wear and tear has been like on his body, and the detached retina. All of these things I think will stack up, and I think Crawford is fresh. If you'd asked me that question a few years ago, I probably would have said, just as Crawford was getting up to 147, he wasn't fully established, I'd have said Spence. But the fact that he's been at it longer, I can see a Crawford stoppage maybe, or points.
Time will tell. I mean, in the end, if you make me pick, I'll pick Crawford. But it's one of those fights like Leonard and Hearns where, I was a Sugar Ray Leonard fan, and I remember reading an article where Emmanuel Stewart was explaining why Tommy Hearns was going to win. And when he was explaining, I'm a little kid reading this going, he's right. What the hell is Sugar Ray Leonard going to do to win this fight, right? Like, how do you can't box with a guy. You can't get inside the right hand. If you do, and you somehow, then he'll outbox you. That's how it is like with Spence. Like, yeah, you're going to beat Spence, right? Well, wait a minute. High volume puncher who can also box and beat you behind a southpaw jab at distance with defense and footwork and a jab, has a great chin, has a very high work rate. There's mustard on all those shots, head and body. How do you beat that guy? Well, Sugar Ray Leonard figured it out. Crawford's the type of dude to figure it out. And I think that's why he's the slight favorite maybe.
A fight of such high level and high IQ, you can't oversimplify the question like that, because a fight is 12 rounds, and each round is a collection of a load of different moments of adjustments and challenges, and they can both set and adjust at the highest level. And it's who can win more of those little moments.
Who do you think will win more of those little moments?
I've always thought Crawford, so I'm not going to change my mind.
Yeah, Crawford's very good boxer, and Spence. He's been doing okay lately. I mean, he's not always at his best in the last couple of fights, but I think I like Crawford. I think he might be one of the best fighters in the world today.
I flip-flop back and forth and have been for months. I was always very bullish on Spence. I just thought he was too big, too strong. His pedigree against the guys that he's fought is much better at welterweight. Terence is on his third weight class coming up. But, I mean, Terence has grown into a real welterweight now. He is, he has 100% KO percentage at welterweight, which is super impressive. They fought a lot of the same guys, but he fought them years later than Spence did. I think Spence actually had the better versions of the guys that he beat. So there's a lot of nuanced to this. The nuances to this fight, you got to really look past the numbers. Crawford's style. Again, it's like you're fighting two different guys because he can switch and he fights so well from either side, and he has different attributes from either side. It literally is fighting two guys. But again, Spence with the fundamentals and his physicality, he's the biggest welterweight I've ever seen. And I call him the Terminator because it's almost like he has an exoskeleton. If you watch him, I mean, everybody who's hit him, it's like, yeah, some people got him to take an awkward step or whatever, but like he's never been hurt. Everyone talks about, he was hurt in this fight. No, he wasn't. Never been hurt. The guy walks through the biggest punches. Kell Brook was a very good puncher at welterweight, and Spence walked through those shots, walked him down, beat him up, broke his eye, got him out of there. That was one of his more impressive wins for Spence, honestly, because Kell at that time I thought was a phenomenal fighter. This is one of those fights, man. And then some versions of me see Crawford, and I'm like, man, he's just too good from each side. If you start figuring him out one way, he goes the other way. He has game-changing power with both hands. I could see Crawford knocking Spence out. I could also see Spence walking Crawford down, beating him up, and getting him out of there too. So it's just, it's one of those fights. I'm going to be there in fight week in Vegas, and I'm going to make my decision probably on the morning of, after I see them fight week. That's really big for me as a fighter. I love being around fight week because I get to see the guys. I get to see their energy, their aura, their personality at the press conference. I get to see their bodies, their aura again at the weigh-in. I get to see how they are walking around. I think a lot of that matters, and I think if you watch the betting odds, it matters to them too. So fight week things can change. So I'm holding off my prediction until then.
Great fight. It's one of those fights that you can ask anybody and everybody. So unless they're from the Spence or the Crawford camp, nobody is sure of how this fight turns out. I was first leaning towards Spence, then Crawford, then Spence, then Crawford. I'm looking at fights, and it was a fight that Spence was involved in, and he switched off mid-fight. I can't remember what it was, and he was like, I thought, I'm splitting hairs here. I'm thinking, has he got quit in him? It was like, I can't remember the fight where Spencer stood there, he was looking at the rope, he kind of switched off a little bit. And I thought, what is he doing? I can't remember the fight. And that's the only chink I can see in him. And if he's got any quit in him, if he's got that kind of switch off concentration in him, Crawford will do him. But that's all. It's too hard. I can make an argument for both fights to win. I'm looking forward to this fight because you've got two elite fighters that are fighting. It's not like one guy's going to win, definitely going to win over the other. You've got two fighters that are going to give their best. And I don't think this is the last time they'll fight each other. I think this fight will be that good, it will happen again.
I think that may have been the Ugas fight that you're referring to, where he kind of got buzzed and then kind of wasn't throwing back for a little bit and then kind of...
Yeah, got buzzed, switched off, and he's like up against the ropes, and I'm like, you can't do that shit, man. Not at this level. And that's the only thing I can look at. So I'm not saying he's got quit in him, but if that was it, I'm like, yo, it's the wrong place. That's the wrong place to have that.
If they go the distance, I'm picking Crawford. If somebody gets knocked out, I think Spence wins. I think if there's a stoppage, Spence stops Crawford. If they go the distance, Crawford wins. But if I had to put my money on it, I'm a bet on Crawford.
I've always said Crawford, mate. I've always said Crawford. I think Errol Spence has been in 147 a bit too long. He's got a few more miles on the clock than Crawford, in my opinion. And I think that Crawford wins, and I think Spence moves up to 54.